This Ambetter Health 200 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Circa Sports. Circa Sports is back, and their Circa Survivor and Circa Millions contest is underway. $14 million up for grabs. Get all the details right now at circasports.com.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Once again, talking racing things, it is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Of course, we know that there are two series in action this weekend in New Hampshire. Of course, it is the Cup and the Xfinity. So today, we're here to talk about what else but the Xfinity Series. We're going to cover the Ambetter Health 200 from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. Never been to Loudon, New Hampshire. I've been to Nashua. I've been to, I don't remember what other city in New Hampshire. I'm pretty sure there's only 4 cities in New Hampshire, and I think I've been to one of them. So.
I was going to say, it's not a very big state. I don't know they have a ton there anyway.
No, yeah. And if you're from New Hampshire, I apologize. You probably know how small your state is. Listen, I'm from one of the biggest states in the union, so I'm just saying, like, one of my counties is as big as that state. So.
I'm from a decent sized state, but there's really only 2 cities here anyways. So.
That's true, actually. No lies there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cody, it is going to be a fun weekend, short flat track again. That little 1 miler that we got going on in New Hampshire, much more confined than the road course that we were at. And of course, our 1.5 mile super speedway in Atlanta, but back to normal, right? I guess maybe.
Yeah, that's what they say, right? Back to normal. But I mean, no, like we talked about yesterday on the Cup Series show, it is a much more normal, quote unquote, race. Whereas we've had Atlanta last week, which is a super speedway. We saw the chaos there. The week before was Chicago. Talk about chaos, especially the Xfinity race. I mean, nobody saw not even getting to official race being called official, and they pull out a rule that's never been used before. Like, it's so, and we kind of expected things to be weird and things we didn't expect to see. And that's what happened, was things we didn't expect to see. So we were kind of right there, but back to a more normal week. Should be a little easier to handicap a week like this. Again, the competition has been really, really good in the Xfinity Series this year. In the Cup Series and the Trial, I mean, it's been good everywhere, really. But in the Xfinity Series, it has been really good. But, I think that there's quite a few things and trends that are starting to stand out. We're far enough into the season now, and I think this is why we've been hitting, again, the last couple of weeks, hard to judge, right? And we preface that going in. But we've kind of been hitting our stride overall as far as being able to hit more things because we've got a good sample size. I think we're 17 races into the Xfinity Series season now. It's a good sample size to see what guys can do, who's got what, where we're at on different track types. We've had a lot of tracks lately. We talked about this in the Cup Series as well, where it's, well, this is kind of a one-off track, right? There's nothing to compare this to. It's hard to guess. Now we've got this track where we have comparable tracks in Phoenix and even Martinsville and in past New Hampshire races where we can look at it, and things should be more normal this week. Weather, likely going to be an issue. Talked about that yesterday as well. But be prepared, right? They might end up on the wet weather tires. Remember, they're wet weather tires, not rain tires. They're not going to race in a full rainstorm on the oval, but it's been flash floods all over the East Coast. It's been lots of rain. It's amazing the amount of rain we've gotten here in the Midwest, like from drought conditions everywhere to just nonstop rain everywhere, it seems like. But which is good. We need it and all that fun stuff. But if we could avoid the racetracks, would be nice. But be prepared for that to throw wrinkles into this, and strategy could come into play. Things could get changed up a lot from that. But I still think you approach this as a normal, what happens if this is run on Saturday and it's completely dry and they get the full distance in, and you just go with that. And then if the wet weather throws wrenches into things, that's just part of what can happen and why they play the game or run the race, right?
Yeah, and so for Friday, it's practice and qualifying on Friday for Xfinity. That is a 80-degree, but that lightning bolt is there. When I click on it, there are rain showers. It's a 66%, or wait, was it 40% chance of rain at about 10 o'clock, 36, 49 in that afternoon area. Doesn't look like it's going to get much higher than 78, but that's Friday qualifying. So if qualifying's rained out, probably end up going to that metric, right? So we're talking about, we're having to look at the order of points and all that stuff. DFS, okay. Racing wise, probably not that much of it. Saturday though, 86 and partly cloudy. So they're probably going to get this race in. There's only about a 20% chance.
Rod over here believing the weather, man.
Hey, I'm just reading what's on the page, man. I'm just saying that this is what they're going to have. This is what they're going to do. So I don't know. And it may not happen. It may happen. I'm hoping that neither day has any sort of rain whatsoever, and we can get full qualifying in, and we can get a full day of racing in, because damn it all, I'm so tired of seeing races shorten because of weather.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been something that's plagued us here lately. Unfortunately, it's just part of how it goes. And racing is different than other sports, right? You can play a football game in the rain. You can play a baseball game in the rain. To only certain degrees can you actually race in the rain on oval tracks, and they're getting better as far as having this wet weather stuff. So if it does rain, they'll be able to start earlier without having to get the track completely dry and all of that stuff. So again, part of the game, part of how it goes, but we're not going to factor that in too much. If you want to go with some longer shot stuff, and really, I'll probably make that case, right? Where there's certain guys that can set themselves up in that type of position, in that scenario, and maybe you throw a little something on somebody at a longer shot because they're going to be more apt to pull off the strategy or make things work like that. And something to think about, but definitely not going to weigh in for the most part as far as most of our bets go.
It won't, but I will tell you one thing, that Circa Sports is giving away $14 million in guaranteed prizes. If I won that kind of money, I would throw a dome around the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We wouldn't have to worry about the rain, and we would race no matter what. It would be a Roman Coliseum-esque type of a space. I'm just claiming it right now. $14 million that Circa is giving away. I would use that to put a dome around the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Circa Millions and Circa Survivor are back. $14 million, like I said, up for grabs. Circa Millions, if you want to play that, you get 5 NFL picks against the spread each week. And then Circa Survivor, just like any other Survivor, you pick a different money line winner each week. Hope you advance to the next week. Best part about this, you enter in Vegas, so you can play from anywhere in the world, because it doesn't matter if you got a legal gambling state or not. You enter in Vegas, you're entered, you can play all the time. Sports Gambling Podcast, the mothership, will be out there in the last week of August, so you can meet Sean and Ryan if you're out there. You want more details, you know where to find them, circasports.com. That's circasports.com. Do you think New Hampshire would be happy if I put a dome around the raceway, or just the entire state? I guess.
I mean, yeah. If you're gonna do it around the track, you just do the whole state, right? I mean, hey, it's a thought, right? They do like chili bowls and stuff like that. Is in the inside. I think there's a lot of ventilation issues. Probably, I think, is the main reason we don't have domes. Don't let Colby Dant from the college experience shows know that you were considering a dome. He would lose his mind. A dome for football has gone far enough. A dome for racing, oh boy.
Yeah, he doesn't like domes. He feels that football weather, much like every other sport weather, deserves to be played in the elements. So race in the rain.
He's got an argument to be made, right?
I agree too, actually. It's more fun to watch those guys slodge around in some pretty inclement weather at points.
As long as you're watching from home.
As long as you're watching from home, the safety of your own home.
Exactly.
Well, of course, it is, like I said, the Ambetter Health 200. It'll be 200 laps around this mile .058 paved track. It is flat-ish. right? Very low banking on any of the corners. So again, we're in for some sliding around. We're in for some, hopefully, if the track is not too damaged from the weather, some pretty good racing all the way around. And listen, some of these guys, the entry pool for this, I'm seeing only one full-time Cup driver in this, and that is Austin Dillon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Austin Dillon is the main one. He's going to be in the 10 car for Kaulig. Joe Graff in the 19 car. Do not. The numbers are appealing. He's like 90-1. You're like, 90-1 for a Joe Gibbs car? Graff will be 4 laps down, 3 laps into this race. It's not even possible, but he will find a way to make it happen. He is. Joe Gibbs should be embarrassed that he takes this guy's money and lets him drive his cars. Like he is so bad. We see Ryan Truex's get in this car. We see Trevor Baines get in this car and run. Trevor Bain, I think, finished second in this race last year in this car. Like, and these guys run good. And then Joe Graff gets in there, and it's just like you can really tell when a guy doesn't. I mean, sorry, Joe Graff, but doesn't have the talent. Like you're paying to get into an elite car, and he fucking just is horrible every time he does. So don't fall into the trap of, well, this is that fast Joe Gibbs car, and the Joe Gibbs cars should be good. He will be absolute trash. Sorry to trash him like that, but facts are facts. Don't fall for it, because you look at it and you're like, a Gibbs car at 90-1? He literally 3 laps into the race, he'll be 10 laps down. He finds a way. It's ridiculous. But there are really no other crazy notables. Jeffrey Earnhardt supposed to have a full-time ride with Alpha Prime this year. Unfortunately, no funding for this weekend, so he's out. Your boy Greg Van Alst is replacing him in the 45 car this weekend. Probably not a good thing for his number 8 car hopes if he can't find sponsorships. But who knows? Anyways, but yeah, that's really. I mean, those are the notable ones. Obviously, Austin Dillon in the 10, Graff in the 19 are the big ones. Connor Mozak, actually, is it Connor in the 24? I think it is Connor Mozak in the 24. But yeah, that's really all you got for notables in this race. So mostly Xfinity regulars and Austin Dillon. Those are the ones you need to know about.
And it's funny because I kept looking for pretty good bets to make on Van Alst. I was like, man, I want to find a way to play this guy, but last week would probably been the best way to do it, and unfortunately, it didn't fall through.
Not on a track like this, and
not on this track. Some notables, of course, Justin Allgaier winning this race last year, but listen, I went to go look for this guy named Christopher Bell on the odds sheet, and I couldn't find him, and I don't know why. He's won this race the last 3 times before Justin Allgaier in 2022, 2019, and 2018. And then some guy named Kyle Busch won in 2017 and 2016. Denny Hamlin. Is this the Xfinity Series, or am I looking at the Cup Series?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm sort of surprised there's not more Cup guys entered into this, because if you look at the past winners, so, granted, Bell was an Xfinity guy for most of those wins, I think, but he's crazy good here. We kind of talked a little bit about him on yesterday's episode, not too much though, because the problem is his odds reflect that record, and that's what makes it tough. But yeah, again, just those guys not in here, so makes a big difference. Looking at last year's results, a little fun because a couple of cars were disqualified. I think Noah Gragson, Landon Castle finished like 3rd and 4th. They were both disqualified from the race, so kind of changes the results a little bit. But other than that, there was 15 lead changes between 10 different drivers in this race too. So plenty of action on the track here last year.
Yeah, again, considering it's a 200-lap race, there was 15 lead changes in that. You had Allgaier leading 47, Trevor Bain leading 17, Brandon Brown even leading 12, AJ Allmendinger leading. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Ty Gibbs leading 49, and William Byron even leading 22, Landon Castle leading 17. So you had quite a few people up there in the front swapping around. Landon Castle and Justin Allgaier at the end there swapping it around too, and that's like you said. Castle got disqualified, so it negated his finish. But yeah, I mean, of this, listen, Cody, there was 23 drivers running at the end of this. This race had some attrition, majorly.
Yeah, that's a lot of attrition, especially again, it's not a very long race. I mean, it's 200 laps. It's only a mile track, so they're clicking off laps fairly quickly. This one will get in the books really fast, but obviously, as you can see from the numbers last year, was a very, very exciting race. And again, with no big time Cup guys. I mean, Austin Dillon he'll probably run fine, but I wouldn't expect him to go Kyle Busch the field or anything like that. And so I think that we'll be in for a pretty good race this weekend.
I agree. I misspoke. I'm sorry. There was 21 cars running. The other 2 were disqualified.
Well,
This race came in. This race came in at. So if you want to talk about qualified finishers, there were 23 qualified finishers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's boy. I'm glad we don't have that post race tech in F1 to throw everything else off.
Tell me about it. The time of the race was 2 hours 27 minutes. Again, when we're looking at comparable tracks, I'm not necessarily a fan of comparable tracks, but when we look at tracks that we're going to look at, we talked about it yesterday. We'll look at Phoenix for a kind of most of our inspiration, especially here because these guys have been to Phoenix obviously earlier this season, so we kind of look back at that. If you want to throw Gateway in there, I know it's 1.2. That's fine. If you want to throw Martinsville in there for sort of the distance, I mean, again, it's hard to draw comparisons to a lot of these tracks because even now, like you can't say cookie cutter anymore because the mile and a halves, they sort of still feel a little cookie cutter-ish. But you start talking about Dover, you start talking about Loudon, you start talking about Martinsville, Gateway. Like each of these has just their own unique little twist that makes them somewhat different. But
yeah, Phoenix definitely the most comparable. It's also a mile. It's also flat. The layout is still different on it, but the one you can look at the most, obviously, past performance at New Hampshire as well, and then just current overall how guys are running. And again, Martinsville, it's shorter, it's shaped a little different, but it is a short, flat track that we generally see trends kind of run the same along those types of races. So again, it's like every week, it's a balancing game for how much you put into current stock, how much you put into past performance of the track, how much you put into how they've run on styles this year. And we've cooked up some pretty good ones, I think.
I'm going to compare it to the straight of Chicago into turn 6. That's how I'm comparing this entire track.
All three green flag laps you saw him run at that.
Exactly. It's flat. The distance was short, so that's what I'm going to do. And we'll see how that works. Probably not very well. But you know what works really well? You playing Underdog Fantasy. We're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here. Cody has already drafted about 6 million best ball teams, and he's going to continue to do so because Underdog is giving away $15 million in prizes that will just about recoup what Cody's put in so far to that. So Underdog Pick'em is also a great way to get down on your favorite MLB and NFL season player props. So many ways to win over on Underdog, and Underdog is available in so many states. You want to head over right now to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use our promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. I don't know, other than maybe the Sheldon Creed news that we saw earlier today, that there's anything that really impacts the Xfinity Series.
What is up with the Sheldon Creed? He's going to his first ever Cup Series start is going to be in the number 78 at Kansas.
I mean,
everything about that is just why Kansas. I have no idea. That's cool. I love Kansas. We saw a great race in there. I got to go. It was fun. The 78 car. Okay.
Hold on. This truly calls for at least this right here. That's
how I feel. I mean, it'll get him in a next gen car. That's good. He can feel it out. That's about all I got. I mean, probably we need to focus maybe on the Xfinity Series for now. We're kind of having some trouble over there.
Yeah, right now especially.
Why you're racing the 78 Live Fast? I mean, I don't know. I get it just to be out there, but are you even really out there in that car? I don't know, but we'll probably talk about that more when we get closer, I guess. But yeah, like you said, I mean, not really much else for news as far as Xfinity Series goes. Other than that, I have not really seen much else.
For those of you out there, I would like you to take whatever crayon, pen, paper, whatever is close to you. I would like you to mark down the date and time that you heard Cody absolutely speechless over something. Like
it doesn't. Usually I have a lot to say, but oh boy, that one just, I don't know what to say. I mean,
I
There's
love
not
it. It was
really.
awesome.
I guess he got a partner that wanted him in the Cup race. So cool.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
for me, listen, the way I look at it is one of two things can happen, right? He can get in and he can actually run well. I mean,
he's not
we
going
saw,
to run well in the set.
well,
He's not.
I say well, but that means finish the race above
Okay.
Ty Dillon,
Yeah.
right? That's
Which
well
is
for that team,
that's your expectation.
right? So if Sheldon Creed can finish above
Right.
Ty
And
Dillon,
I mean, don't get me wrong. If somebody came to me tomorrow and said, "Do you want to race a 78 car at Kansas?" Like, yes, absolutely, I do. Like, put me in, right? So you can't really blame him too much there. Like, you take the opportunities you're given, but I don't. I don't know. I think we've spent too much time on it already.
yes, we have. I think it's time. I think it's time to start setting up some of our bets for this Ambetter Health 200 rather, here at New Hampshire. They're not going 400. They're only going 2. So let's talk through some of our bets. Cody, what you got first?
Well, I was just looking through your bets for the first time. I got very concerned after I did not see any JRM cars, but you saved yourself at the end. So we'll have something
ask
to
if I was
talk about.
okay.
I just,
Blink
did
twice
somebody
if
else?
you're-
Did you enter these picks, Rod? Jeez.
Blink twice if you're abducted.
But yeah, to start, I'm gonna fade a JRM car, and not because I meant to, just because it's kind of how things speak to me. But Cole Custer is matched up against Josh Berry, -105. I was so heavy on Cole Custer in the offseason. I was so heavy going into the season. I was so fucking disappointed I have not touched him in weeks. But it's starting to look like something you have to pay attention to. He's got the couple of wins. I mean, Chicago win, it counts, right? Hey, he earned the pole. He kept it up there. You give it to him, right? The other win at Portland, it was like, again, first and second took them to play themselves out. We talk about it all the time. These types of guys that can put themselves in the right place at the right time. He did it. Props to him. But you go back through his last few races here. He finished third last week at Atlanta. Great finish there. He finished first at Chicago. He was third at Charlotte. He was ninth at Nashville. He was sixth at Sonoma. He won Portland. He was third at Darlington, seventh at Dover, third at Martinsville. Ninth place is his worst finish in the last 11 races. That's pretty damn solid. And he's starting to really put things together. So Cole Custer is a guy you've got to look at. Let's go over to Josh Berry, a short, flat track guy, you think, right? He came from the late model scene. Things should be going well for him, but finished 31st in this race last year. You go back over his last 4 races, one finish better than 15th in those last 4 races. Things have not been going well for Josh Berry since the announcement that he was going to take over the 4 car next year. It's just, you start to wonder, right, if there's pressure building on that, how much work he's already putting into looking forward to next season. They're looking for sponsorship, obviously. Anheuser-Busch just announced they're not going to come back on that car. All these other things that may be going on behind the scenes are distracting. I don't know. But the results have not been there for Berry. The results have been there for Custer. Again, 9th place is his worst finish over the last 11 races. Berry's only got one finish better than 15th in the last 4. So when you weigh that out, Custer's getting the better finishes week in and week out. I don't think Custer comes out and wins this race, although I think he could, of course. But I think he's going to run solid all day, and I think you can't trust Berry at this point. So give me Cole Custer over Josh Berry. It's -105, so you're not really paying any juice, and that one's over on Caesar. So that's going to be my first one.
We did a lot of talking along the same lines when we were talking about Kyle Busch last year, and we were talking about the distractions of him knowing that he was not going to be in that 18 car and just basically saying to everybody else, I'm just going to ride this out and see where it goes. And I'm not, obviously we're not saying that that's the same as Josh Berry, but when you start to look at the point where he found out, like you said, to now, there's that pattern. And obviously we talk about JRM cars getting in their own way and how Josh Berry was kind of one of the only guys that was sort of staying above the fray. That's just not playing itself out lately. And as much as it pains me, absolutely, because I love me some JRM cars, I'm going to help you on fading Berry too, but I'm also going to add on to the mix Sam Mayer. I'm going to fade Sam Mayer, yet another junior motorsports guy. I'm picking Chandler Smith over Sam Mayer. Over on Superbook, they got him at -110 on this side of the head-to-head. And I mean, if you look back at what Sam Mayer has done on this racetrack, it has been horrendous. I mean, in the 8 car, he crashed, right? Finished 39th in the race 2 years ago, rather, in 2021. 2022, he was running at the end of it and finished 15th. He started 12th and finished 15th. Sam Mayer, just not necessarily really good at this track, was not in the top 10 in either of the stages last year. Again, Sam Mayer has had some good finishes this year, 10 top 10 finishes and 17 starts. Fantastic, right? Good stuff. Last week at Atlanta, finished 5th, 18th at Chicago, but I don't know if we're going to hold that against him. 3rd in Nashville, 10th at Sonoma. But where I'm looking is the 11th place in Phoenix, right? Which you would say to me, Rod, that's a really good day. That's good, right? Should be trying to take Sam Mayer in this head-to-head. Well, I would, except that Sammy Smith won this race. Started 11th, where Sam Mayer finished and ended up winning this race. He also finished 10th in 2022, leading 10 laps in that. Sammy Smith has had 2 solid finishes here in this. Now, Sammy Smith, again, not necessarily something you want to scream about all season long. He does have 8 top 10s, 3 top 5s in his 17 starts. 10th in Atlanta, 6th at Chicago, 34th at Nashville, 9th at Sonoma, 30th in Portland. But like I said, he won at Phoenix. That was a mile flat track. It was exactly the kind of track that we're comping to. And he led 92 of those laps. So it wasn't as if he made a last lap pass or, some sort of bold move with 10 to go to get him the lead. No, he led 92 of those laps. Now, granted, Allgaier won or led a lot of those and ended up crashing out. But yeah, for most of the day, that 18 car was out front. So I think he could do it again. I think because of Sam Mayer's not necessarily running well on this track, I think Chandler's going to beat him. And I think, I think it's going to catch his bet. Chandler over Sam Mayer at -110.
Yeah, I like it. Again, hate to be dogging on JRM, but that
actually no, you don't. You've been dogging on JRM.
I love JRM though. I love Junior. I just when it happens, it happens. But on this one, I'm going to do both, dog on him and take him at the same time. Give me Justin Allgaier over Josh Berry. I just made the case against Josh Berry, right? And for Allgaier, he won this race last year. Very good run here. Not only did he win this race last year, he finished 2nd here in 2021. He finished 3rd here in 2019. And he led 47 of the laps last year. He's got 5 top 3 finishes in the last 8 races. Again, guys that are just trending upward. And again, with us being this deep into the season, we've now got a big sample size of how our guys' season's going. Justin Allgaier is having a very, very solid season. 5 top finishes in the last 8 races. I mean, you've got road courses in there. You've got super speedways in there. You got street courses in there. You've got a mixture of everything, and he's running solid on a week-to-week basis. He did wreck at Phoenix, but like you said, he led a bunch of laps there before that. That's his best track on the series is Phoenix, the most comparable track to this one. And so I think that carries over as well. Obviously, with how well he's run here at New Hampshire, how well he's run at Phoenix, this style of track treats him well. And again, I'm just fading Berry this weekend because the results have not been there. Obviously, something is going wrong or something is going on maybe behind the scenes. How many times have we seen it, right? Kyle Busch last year. Martin Truex was obviously having issues, personal issues last year that affected their performance on the track. And I think that there's a lot going on in the Berry camp right now, although it's positive in a lot of ways, right? Because he's going into the Cup Series, getting a good, solid ride, all of this stuff. But it's definitely hit the performance here lately. So, yeah, give me Justin Allgaier over Josh Berry. This one's -130, so a little juiced up, but I want to pay the juice if you lose. Doesn't bother me at all. And that one's over on Superbook.
I love it. All right. Well, I am going to go one further. You know what I did? Boy, let me tell you, these Stukin Smiths, they got me all twisted. So on my sheet, the previous bet was Chandler Smith over Sam Mayer, not Sammy Smith over Sam Mayer. So let me do this in an attempt to kind of fold both of these, because I've got Chandler Smith over. Okay, let's back this up. I didn't know that I did this to myself, but here we are. So I've got Sammy Smith over Chandler Smith. Remember everything I said about Sammy Smith, right? Winning in Phoenix, having a couple of good finishes here. I think, again, he's in for a good, solid day all around for Sammy Smith. Well, take that and put it over Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith has not had the success that Sammy Smith has had over the last few races either. 20th at Atlanta, 8th at Chicago, 12th in Nashville, 14th at Sonoma. But again, I'm circling Phoenix. He was 5th at Phoenix. A good day for Chandler Smith. Now, again, the book on Chandler Smith, not that big because the kid is a baby. Like, he literally had run 3 races last year. None of them were in New Hampshire. So he is yet to take this track. But again, I'm looking at Phoenix. I'm looking at Martinsville, where he finished 10th. So a good day for Chandler there, but not as good as Sammy Smith. And I'm thinking I'm taking Sammy Smith over Chandler Smith, minus 145 over on Caesars. All right. So that's Sammy Smith over Chandler Smith. Okay. But I'm also taking Chandler over Sam Mayer, not Sammy. So I'm going to go over it again at the end when I go over my bets. Hopefully I don't confuse it then. But I'm taking...
It's a lot of Sams. That's a lot of Smiths.
Holy,
we got a lot going on in those
hell.
2 bets there, Rod.
I did not mean to do that to myself. That was a rookie move, man.
Oh, that's
All
funny.
Right. Go back to my first bet. It's Chandler Smith over Sam Mayer. Kind of what I was talking about, just Sam Mayer not having the success on this track and really struggling this season, whereas Chandler Smith has actually, he did well in Phoenix earlier this season, and I think he's going to continue his success on those short flat tracks. He's a young kid, has a lot going for him. I think he's going to finish better than Sam Mayer, but I still think Sammy Smith will finish better than the other Smith. So if you want to draw a hierarchy, right, it goes Mayer at the bottom, Chandler in the middle, Sammy at the top. That's how you can remember.
Yeah, and I actually really like both of these. I'm going to talk about Sammy Smith here in a little bit. I'm very, very high on him. JGR is so good at this track. Christopher Bell won all those races. Guess who he raced for? JGR. JGR in the Cup Series has been lights out at this track. You go look at the Cup Series odds, 1, 2, 3. They have got the top 3 spots over guys like Kyle Larson, even over guys like William Byron. JGR knows this track. They're very good here. So I agree with Sammy Smith there. I do think Chandler will do better than Mayer as well. Chandler in that 10 car, Landon Castle even drove this car to a third or 4th place finish last year. Was disqualified after the race. So you have to, throw that caveat in there. But still, the car was good. I think that this is the perfect way to balance out both of those. So next up for me, Austin Hill. I'm going to take him at top 5 plus 300. What? Why, Rod? Why did they just give us nobody has been more consistent than Austin Hill throughout this entire season? We're 17 races in. He has 1 DNF and a total of 4 finishes outside of the top 10. 3 of those finishes are that DNF and 2 super speedways. That means on non-super speedway or the 1 DNF tracks, he has 1 finish outside of the top 10. He finished 7th here last year, and he's having a much, 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 much better season this year than he did last year. In 9 of the 17 races, more than half the races, he's finished in the top 5. You're getting him at 3-1 over on Bet 365. This makes absolutely no sense to me. If things do get wonky and strategy comes into this, Austin Hill's a guy that can gamble. He's a guy that can take these risks because he's actually locked into the playoffs. He's got multiple wins. He's leading the points, he's second in points to John Hunter. But the way that his season is going and the fact that he just continues. How many times have we seen this where he's just being completely disrespected by the books? It doesn't make any sense. And we keep betting on these things and we keep hitting these things and they don't change it. Why they keep giving it to us, I don't know. But Austin Hill for a top 5 plus 300. This is a no-brainer for me. He's going to show up. He's going to be fast. He's going to be solid. He's going to get you a good finish again, like he does almost every single week. He is in play for a top 5 every week. He's the most consistent driver. He's making it to the end of every single race except for 1. And we've been to multiple super speedways. He's finished all of those races even. So it's crazy to me that you're getting this number. But yeah, give me Austin Hill top 5 rather at 3-1.
Top 3, top 5.
So-
I don't know.
Boy, I
what's
don't-
going on.
it's, man, all these numbers, Rod, these numbers, these names, they're all too similar.
I'm
There's a 3 in
continuing.
there somewhere. There's a 5 in there somewhere. It's all somewhere close.
My absent-mindedness is contagious. Yeah, I like that. Again, that actually, full
And I
disclosure.
did just confirm to make sure that it was. And yeah, it is. Over on Bet365, top 5 finish plus 300 for Austin Hill. So crazy.
That was actually one of my bets. I did change it because I did not want. I echo you on that one, but I also wanted to give out another one as well because I do. That was one that I had written down until I got in the dock and realized you had it as well. So love me some Austin Hill this week. I am going to light candles. I'm gonna send up origami, whatever fire things that you send up into the sky for all of the good wishes for Sheldon Creed this week to break the curse. I don't know what kind of voodoo I've got to do to make it happen, but I want Sheldon Creed to get a top 5 finish. Sheldon Creed.
Well, I mean, did he just make some type of deal with the devil? He's going to have a Cup Series ride with the 78 car.
Yeah.
Maybe that's maybe that just whatever deal he inked there. Maybe that puts him in victory lane all of a sudden and he cashes this bet for you.
Who was the
Tiger
god
Woods?
Serrano?
Oh.
No. The god that Serrano prayed to in Major League.
Oh boy, I'm not good at the old movies. I was just thinking of guys that made deals with the devil to be good, and Tiger Woods is the one that comes to mind.
I want him to make the deal with him to be good. But for Sheldon Creed, listen, last year his only race in Loudon as an Xfinity driver, he finished in 5th place, which to my understanding is a top 10 car or top 5 car rather. And he led 10 laps in the process too. So again, he was a fast car. He rode up there the whole time. I know everybody's screaming, Rod, it's Sheldon Creed. Rod, Sheldon Creed has run into trouble since Darlington, 25th in Darlington, 28th at Charlotte. He did have a good 7th place finish at Portland. It's a road course. I mean, he started on the pole, so he salvaged a good day. 11th at Sonoma, 17th at Nashville, 11th at Chicago, 35th at Atlanta. None of those are top 5 numbers. Well, but when we went to Phoenix earlier this year, he started 5th and finished 3rd. That is the Sheldon Creed I am hoping for. I'm hoping for the Sheldon Creed that finished 3rd in Phoenix and finished 5th on this track last year. The guy that can get you a top 5 finish and be good. In Richmond, he barely missed it. He was 6th place in Richmond. That was probably the closest he sniffed other than the 7th place at Portland. But something's got to give for Sheldon Creed. I'm tired of watching him getting interviewed after he's checked and released from the infield care center. So Sheldon, what got you this week? And then having him say, "Oh man, I don't know." So like I said, man, I'm lighting candles. I'm praying to your God, my God, like everyone's God, that Sheldon Creed breaks the curse and gets a top 5 finish. That is at plus 350 over on Caesars right now. 3.5 to 1 for a car that's done it already and has finished well on a short flat track this year. I like it.
I like it too. And I've got more comments on Creed coming up here in a few, so I'll dive into that more, but I do back you on that. Next up for me, John Hunter Nemechek this week. He's the favorite to win this race. A quick rundown of the odds. He's at plus 260. Then it's Allgaier at plus 400. Custer at plus 500. Barry's actually next at plus 550, surprisingly. Then it's Austin Dillon at 7-1. But just to give you an idea of how much of a favorite John Hunter is, I cannot get myself to pull the trigger on John Hunter at plus 260 to win this race, even though I really want to. He should be the best car. He should be the fastest car. He should be the best driver. Everything should be the best. But I can't talk myself into it. So I wanted to get action on John Hunter, and minus 130 for a top 3, I think, is a much better way to do it. Unless he is involved in a wreck or there's some type of weird, wacky, crazy strategy, John Hunter will be a top 3 car on the day this weekend in New Hampshire. He is going to be that good. He's got 3 wins this season. More importantly, Rod, he has 4 second-place finishes. He has been the fastest car, the best car in so many races, and only has 3 wins. He should have more wins than that. 4 second-place finishes. screams to me that taking him for a top 3 is going to end up being more valuable than taking him to win. If he does win, the top 3 still cashes. Not as good of a number, obviously, I understand that, but it gives you that cushion of if a Justin Allgaier gets him, if an Austin Dillon gets him, if a Sammy Smith gets him or something else, and he ends up finishing in that top 3, this is the much safer way to bet on him, in my opinion. Having a hell of a season, though. Like I said, 3 wins, 4 second-place finishes. He's led 460 laps through 17 races. Doesn't have a ton of experience here. He's only got, I believe, 2 starts in the Xfinity Series. His first start came back in 2018. He was in that number 42 DC Solar complete scam of a sponsorship and car that Chip Ganassi owned, but he finished 4th in that all the way back then. So it was a pretty good run there. Earlier this season, he won Martinsville, leading 198 laps. And you go back and you look at JGR at Phoenix, first place and second place finish, neither of those by John Hunter, but JGR was fast on this type of track. Joe Graff ain't getting his first or second place finish. I can guarantee you that. I don't care what kind of strategy happens. And so he's going to be fast here. He's going to be good here. I will not in any way, shape, or form be shocked if he leads every lap and wins this race. I can't get myself to pull the trigger on him to win at plus 260. I think the top 3 is so much safer because of those 4 second-place finishes that he has this season. So give me John Hunter. Over on Caesars, a top 3 finish at minus 130.
We love us some John Hunter Nemechek for sure. So yeah, definitely. And like you said, the value in outrights is so difficult when you know that top 3, top 5 is almost going to happen more that and you can win when something happens and he gets passed over the last couple of laps and whatever happens, but at least he's still in the top 3 and can cash you your bet. So
yeah, and a perfect example for that too is the Truck Series race last week, right? Zane Smith, we took him at plus 250 or something in that range. We knew he was going to be one of the best trucks. He was one of the best trucks, but he ends up finishing second. Luckily, we had Corey Heim at 7-1, so it didn't matter anyways. But and I think Zane's number was crazy. And like you go to different books, he's like minus 165 for John Hunter. So get in on that Caesars at minus 130 before that jumps up, because I think you just have to catch the value at the right time, and that's available over there now. So, but I do think that with those 4 second place finishes, and we know he's had the best car in probably all 7 of those races. Like he has been lights out so many times this season, hasn't always got the win. So I think that that this is the way to take John Hunter.
I concur. All right, my next bet is to be a top 3 car.
Oh my God. Jeez.
Yes. Listen to this. Hold on before you get all crazy on it. And Cody is gone. The YouTube crowd is knowing now that Cody is sitting this one out, and that's fine. I've got Daniel Hemrick as a top 3 car at 12-1 at Bet 365. As yucky as it seems, I understand this, but he has finished in 3rd place on this track before. He did it in 2021. He started 13th and finished 3rd. Last season, he started in 2nd place, led the first 5 laps, unfortunately crashed out after 105 laps, but at the end of stage 2, he was still a top 5 car before he got into an accident on lap 107 in turn 3. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish this race. But again, I think that it's a possibility. You saw how well he was running in Atlanta. Yeah, I know, super speedway. I know that it's not necessarily the same type of situation, but those Kaulig cars were looking pretty solid. They were running together. They were doing the right things. Daniel Hemrick has been a thorn in everybody's side this season, but he still managed to put 3 top 10 finishes together in Nashville and Chicago, in Atlanta, 8th, 7th, and 2nd, all sort of around that top 10 area, top 5 area rather. Phoenix, he started 3rd and finished in 10th in that race. But he was at the end of stage 2, a 3rd place car before he ended up finishing in 10th place on that. So there is a path for a 12-1 to hit for Daniel Hemrick to be a top 3 car. You talk about the folks that aren't in this race that were in it before, right? William Byron is not in this, was not in this race, and neither was Ty Gibbs. So you take those guys out, and at the end of the stage, he was in 3rd place. So I'm just saying there is a path for this to happen. And at 12-1, I know it's going to make all you guys' skin crawl, but when we cash a Hemrick top 3 at 12-1, maybe we can take him off of auto delete.
Is it safe to come back now?
I think it's safe to come back now, Cody. You heard none of that, did you?
I hope if I unfortunately could still hear every bit of it as I was not on the screen. I hope if you bet this, you don't cash it. So that's all I have to say. I mean, yeah, I have no comments on this guy. I just, if it hits for you, great. I'll be happy for you. I'm still disgusted by it. So there is that. Okay.
Move on.
Moving on. Again, I could not talk myself into taking John Hunter Nemechek at plus 260, but I have found plenty of ways to work him in. Our friends over at Caesars are offering a boost of John Hunter Nemechek to win on Saturday, Martin Truex Jr. to win on Sunday, 30-1 Rod. Spoiler alert if you've not listened to the Cup Series show yet. I fucking love Martin Truex Jr. this weekend. I also love John Hunter Nemechek on Saturday. Put them together. Give me 30-1. Hell yes. Sign me the fuck up. I will take this. It will cash 30-1. John Hunter to win Saturday. Martin Truex Jr. to win Sunday. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty lucrative 30-1 there on 2 cars that should do very, very well. So yeah, I mean, I can't argue with you on that. Definitely doesn't take much to cash in on that one. I don't feel nearly as strong about either one, but again, at 30-1, if it hits.
But you're also betting on number 11, so we know your mind is maybe, having some issues, so it's okay.
I just spent most of the day in the Bay Area. My mind is warped. So, all right. Well, stop me if you've heard this one before, and you're not going to stop me. Well, no, you have, but I don't care. I'm giving out another winning bet. I'm going to ride this streak, man. I feel like, if something's working for you,
this is how we know John Hunter doesn't win.
Yeah, exactly. You like that.
Spoiler alert.
I've got the winning car as odd at plus 200. Now, of course, the car that I'm about to give out in my outrights
Joe Graff Jr. has entered the chat.
He has entered the Joe Graff Jr. is like, hello there. I'm in number 19. Yeah, no, that's probably the one that I think you're safe, but it does give you coverage if Sam Mayer accidentally wins this race, but it also gives you Allgaier, it gives you Jones, it gives you the number 11 car, it gives you Austin Hill, right? It also gives you guys like where are we looking at too? Well, Van Alst, if he decides he wants to win the race. But no,
there's some serious rain action taking a lot of people out. Floods have wiped away, just floated away multiple cars. If Craig Van Alst is anywhere near the top 30, probably.
The line stops at Austin Hill. That's probably about as far down as it goes for you. But it gives you some heavy hitters, right? It gives you all the guys that we talked about earlier with Hill and with Allgaier and even with Mayer and Jones. Like, again, if something happens and those guys end up winning, then it gives you coverage there. But yeah, I like odd because, like I said, I think the guy that's going to win this race is odd, and I'm all in to double down on that as well. So, spoiler alert on that one. But yep, winning car odd plus 200 over on Caesars. Go grab it. Let's hope we hit this streak some more.
Man, Rod is again, tearing it up on these bets, so hard to argue against him. One of the guys that I'm giving out is an odd numbered car, so at least you're covered if the other guys don't hit, I guess. So there is
good odds on that one too. Yeah. So hopefully we win that one.
Yeah.
So all right, outrights coming up, but first a word from one of our favorite shows on the network.
Hey everybody, if you play fantasy football, especially in auction leagues,
or you're a whiskey fan,
yes, exactly. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast fantasy football channel show, Old Fashioned Football.
coming to you every Tuesday morning, give us a listen. We'll bring you the latest fantasy football data, including
The injury report,
studs and duds,
waiver wire targets,
and suggested fab.
market movers. After all, we are the Marks,
He is my hubby.
and she's J Mark's wifey.
And we're bringing all this to you while drinking an old fashioned and giving you our honest review of a different whiskey every week.
All that and more, hop on over, give us a listen, come for the football, stay for the whiskey.
This ad's almost done.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
Somebody has to win this race. Cody knows that I'm not giving out officially the one that's going to make him leave the room every time I talk about him. So, but you, sir, have your fair share of winners. Let's hear them.
I do. So if obviously I've found a few ways to invest in John Hunter, I do expect him to be the best car. But again, plus 260, I'm not going to take him just as the outright. I'm going to go over to his teammate, Joe Oh, just kidding.
I was about to leave.
I would not do that to you all because that would be a waste of money. Sammy Smith, of course, the teammate that I'm talking about, 8-1. Again, JGR at this track is something we've been hammering on so far all weekend. We'll continue to do the rest of the week. JGR is good here. They're fast here. They've been fast all season. It's the fastest team out there. JRM has had good runs. Yes, Joe Gibbs racing cars have been the best cars week in, week out, almost every single track. John Hunter obviously leads that camp, but Sammy Smith has had his fair share of fast runs. The finishes are a little tricky for him. They're not always there, and that can be a problem. But Phoenix, the most comparable track, he led 92 laps and got his first career win. Sammy Smith could very, very easily win this race. And so, again, I've got my ways to get covered on John Hunter. Sammy Smith could win this. John Hunter could still get that top three. That would work out perfectly for me. At 8-1, I think this is the right price, where I can't pull the trigger on the John Hunter at the shorter number. So love me some Sammy Smith at plus 800. These other two guys are just pure value bets because they should not, Austin Hill at least should not be at this price. 20-1 over on Superbook. Austin Hill, again, we've been talking about it all season. I just gave you all the stats. He's got 3 wins, I think, already on the season. He is good. We hit this bet, was it Las Vegas, I think, right? It was 20-1 or something. Gave him out just because of the odds. As they took the white flag, he made the pass for the lead. We cashed the bet. Great day. Wasn't the best car all day. All that fun stuff. Put himself in position at the end like you want. Cashed the big bet for us. He should never, on any track, be 20-1 the way he's been running this season in the Xfinity Series. So give me Austin Hill at 20-1 because he can put himself in position to be there. And get it done. And again, if it comes down to strategy or something like that, this could be the type of guy that does it. Sheldon Creed, Rod, going to back you up on this. He's tough to rely on Creed to get a good finish, right? And we've talked about that. You bet against him in head-to-heads a lot because you don't get that relied good finish. We know that Sheldon Creed is very good. We know that his car is very good. We know that the car is capable of winning. We know he's capable of winning. He hasn't done it in the Xfinity Series yet. He did it a lot in the Truck Series. He's been so freaking close time and time again. You're getting a guy that's been really, really close to winning at 25-1. It doesn't matter if he finishes last on this bet because it doesn't matter. But he's got the opportunity to win. If you read my article early when it came out, I got it at 30-1. He has dropped down to 25-1 on Caesars, is the best number I'm seeing as we record. So get in on that because I think it is getting hit. I know Kyle Armstrong brought it up in the Discord as well. He was feeling it. It's just this guy, it's got to stop eventually. Like, it cannot continue to just be this way. And if he comes out and he's fast and he puts himself in position, it's going to come eventually. That win's going to come. We talked about it was it last week where he was like 7-1 or something ridiculous. Like, I wouldn't bet him at that this week. But when you're getting him at 25-1, 30-1, somewhere in that range, there's a lot of value to be had there. So give me Sheldon Creed 25-1 over on Caesars to win this race.
I will send you some of my favorite chants and incense flavors, scents, and
Inset flavors.
I eat incense. I do it wrong. Somebody told me once I do it wrong. I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, so I'm with you on Sheldon Creed. I really do hope he wins. I hope he punches through. I mean, it'll break my streak of winning car number bets, but it'll feel good for Sheldon Creed, and it'll cash one of my bets anyways. So it'll be all good. Speaking of all, my winner, Justin Allgaier. I'm telling you,
Wow.
he's
Look at
at
that
4-1.
transition. Just professional over here.
Oh, stop. Allgaier 4-1 to win this race. Cody was talking about Nemechek being a super heavy favorite at 2.5 to 1. Listen, Allgaier's been the bridesmaid and not the bride so many times over the course of his time here. He did win last year. Finally, he broke through for a win last year on this track, and it was because he didn't have to deal with too many of the Cup Series regulars. You want to talk about the races that he was in before in 2021, like we talked about, it was Christopher Bell that he was second to in that one, and that ruined his day. In 2019, Christopher Bell once again ends up winning this race. Justin Allgaier finishes third in this. You talked about just the sheer dominance of Justin Allgaier on this track when you were laying out the case for him earlier. And it's true. I mean, even in Phoenix, Allgaier has been lights out. Now, unfortunately, Kaz Gralla and Brett Moffitt ended his day in New Hampshire, but he did lead 20 laps and he did start second and he won both stages. So he was first in stage 1 and stage 2 in Phoenix before getting taken out in way late in the race. It was like lap 180 that he ended up getting taken out over there. And it's just frustrating because he was having such a fantastic day. In Phoenix proper, this guy's good. 17 top 10 finishes in 26 starts, 9 top 5s, 2 wins overall. Last year, he was third in the race at Phoenix. Talked about his troubles early there. He was 10th place, 9th place, 8th place, 5th place. He won in 2019. So, Allgaier's got a lot of experience on these types of tracks. He's going to be, I think, just as fast as John Hunter Nemechek. I think he's going to be jockeying for the win pretty much most of the day. Hopefully he starts out front so he can stay out of a lot of the trouble. Hopefully pit strategies don't bite him in the ass. But again, I'm looking for a really strong day out of Justin Allgaier. And the fact that he's 4-1 to win the race, I think there's decent enough value in a guy that all he's done is just finish inside the top 3 over the last 3 years and increasingly got better, right? Third, second, first. Well, I mean, you could say that all he's got is to go down, but I think he's going to stay on top. I think he's going to find the winner's circle and cash our 4-1 here and cash our winning car odd.
There you go. Yeah, it's hard to argue against him, right? All the stats are there. This is the type of track. Like I said, he's got, 5? Oh boy, where'd it go? 5 top 3 in the last 8 races. So he has been running up there. He's been running well. I'm still leaning towards, I think it's going to be the JGR cars week, but it's hard to argue with them. 4-1. I'd like to see it a little higher maybe, but yeah, I mean, I can't make an argument against him. So I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, we'd all like to see it a little higher, but again, I think the books know exactly what they're doing.
They're probably about accurate on this.
Yeah, they're probably like, if we put it out there in the 8-1 range, somebody's going to snatch that up and we're going to lose a lot of money. So,
yep.
All right, get out your pen and paper or your crayons, as it were. I missed a golden opportunity last week. Thanks, Cody, for picking me up on Twitter on that one. Get out your crayons.
Yes, as I was going to post that, I'm like, oh yeah, we can get creative with this one. Get out your crayons and hey, it's the crayon. I didn't realize crayon was an actual brand. I guess
you did it.
I mean, I thought Crayola was like book crayon. I don't know. So see, that's why advertising works. That's why we love advertisers, because now I know that crayon is actually just its own brand. I guess I haven't paid that close attention to crayons before.
Well, I was about to offend a ton of Marines, but I'm going to stop. All right. Get out your pen and paper.
They know, Rod. It's
I know
okay.
they know. I have so many Marine friends, and like
They all
these
embrace
people-
it too. That's the best part.
Yeah, I know. Look at the Army guy and the Navy guy sitting here. All right, let's go over the bets before I get canceled. Cody started you out with Cole Custer over Josh Berry -105 over on Caesars. I gave you Chandler Smith over Sam Mayer -110 over on Superbook. Cody gave you Justin Allgaier over Josh Berry -130 on Superbook. I then followed it up with Sammy Smith over Chandler Smith at -145 on Caesars. Cody gave you Austin Hill as a top 5 car at +300 on Bet365. I said Sheldon Creed was going to break the curse. Who's with me? Top 5 car +350 over on Caesars. Cody gave you John Hunter Nemechek as a top 3 car -130 on Caesars. I gave you a name that I know I'm just going to say it right here as a top 3 car at 12-1, Bet365. If you know, it's the number 11 car. Cody gave you John Hunter Nemechek and Martin Truex both to win their respective races at 30-1. The boost over there on Caesars. I called out the winning car as an odd numbered car at +200. Cody then said Sam Smith at 8-1, Austin Hill 20-1 on Superbook, and Sheldon Creed 25-1 on Caesars were his favorites to win. And then, of course, I gave you Justin Allgaier at 4-1 as my winner. You can find that on Superbook at 4-1. I think that was the best price that I found out there. You may be able to find a better one. Hopefully, by the time you listen to this, or it may have gotten beaten down. Who knows? So we'll say where that's at. But yeah, that is the betting card for our Ambetter Health 200 in New Hampshire in Loudon. So I hope we do some damage, man. There's a lot of good stuff out there I think we can hit.
Yeah, I feel again the last couple of weeks it's and we were building for the chaotic stuff and things didn't necessarily go the way we had hoped, which we said they probably wouldn't. But it's nice to go into a more quote unquote normal week where there's really kind of a picture painted of how this race should go. And again, it's not always a perfect science, but it should be a lot better this week, and I'm excited for that, and excited for a little bit more of the predictability. I do enjoy the chaos. I am team chaos, but sometimes the predictability is nice as well.
Full House had it right. Whatever happened to predictability? I want to know. All right, what's predictable though is you letting us know where to find you on social media as we let everybody go on this fine, I don't know what day you listen to it. I don't know your listening habits, but whatever you're listening, I'm letting you go.
That's right. You can find me on Twitter at Husker_Zeeb. I got an Xfinity Series article out over there. Got a Cup Series article out over there. I have a sack prop, NFL sack props for NFL sack leader for the year for 2023 and individual over-unders. How what a world we live in, Rod, where there's an entire article dedicated to defensive sacks. It's amazing, and you can bet on all of them. It's great. It's outstanding. Go check all that stuff out. Also heard a rumor that the F1 Gambling Podcast is going to be hosting the IndyCar Gambling Podcast this week. The books have been nice enough to grace us with a full slate of odds earlier in the week. So go check out the F1 Gambling Podcast. I've heard those hosts are pretty good. I've heard they do a great job. Really fun to listen to. So definitely check that out. And then, yeah, follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. And, leave rating, review, smash the subscribe button. If you want to see me physically leave the screen for while he's talking about number 11, it actually happened over on YouTube. So, enjoy.
Yeah, I hear the F1 guys aren't as good as us, but they're definitely just,
who is, but they can be second place. That's fine.
Yeah, they figure out how to do it every once in a while.
They need to work on their foreign accents a little, but if we get that, then maybe they could compete with us.
Name pronunciations. That's all there is to it. Follow me on Twitter at RJV.
Oh yeah, they can't pronounce any of the IndyCar drivers' names, but they sure know how to bet on them. So I guess that's all that matters.
I mean, it is the gambling podcast, not the I want to pronounce all the names right podcast. But all right, follow me on Twitter, RJ Villagomez. Link at the bottom. Everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's in between media. Back Road is kicking off again this week on Thursday. For frequency's sake, I'm going to have some fun this week. I think I'm going to build some crazy parlays, throw them out there to you on building. So follow me there. And come back tomorrow. We have got another fun episode for you as well. And then, of course, DFS later this week. Until then, everyone, let's go racing and let it ride.